Download the free Gun Dealio app to your smartphone. Find out about the latest deals and news on guns and gear. Includes the latest Gun Talk podcast and Gun Talk videos. That's Gun Dealio on the App Store and Google Play.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
An awful lot to talk about if you're a gun owner this week. If you're a responsible gun owner and you're feeling the weight of the media and a lot of people calling on you, basically calling you a murderer, you're somehow responsible even though you weren't in Florida. The NRA is somehow responsible even though it had no role to play in this disturbed young man committing mass murder. There were a few other people and entities who did have a role to play. We ought to touch on those for just a second. The FBI blew it completely. They had multiple tips that there's a problem, specific tips, names, actions, threats, nothing. The Broward County Sheriff's Office, where do you even start? Depending on which report you listen to, it had 18 or 39 visits out to the home of the shooter. They had all these reports. And then you have the sheriff, Sheriff Israel. What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. A bureaucrat with a badge. Did you see him being interviewed by Jake Tapper today? You need to go find it online. Yeah, I know, you don't watch CNN. Well, this one you need to watch. 30 minutes of this sheriff dancing and proclaiming that he was an amazing leader. But whenever he was asked about, well, what about this, what about that? He said, well, I didn't know about that. You can only act on what you know about. And I'm only responsible for what I know about. The fact that you didn't know about it shows you're a lousy leader, Sheriff. And then we have the officer, Scott Peterson, who sat out there while children are dying. He's the school resource officer. He knows these kids. He works there. He knows what's going on. He knows that there's a gun going off in there. And he sits outside and waits and waits and waits and waits. And kids are dying and dying and dying and dying. I don't know what to say. I have no words for that. I don't know what to say. But for those who have told us for years and years and years, it's not your job. Leave it to the professionals. Don't take the law into your own hands. Just call 911. I give you as Exhibit A Scott Peterson, sheriff's deputy, who willfully stayed outside and let those children die. No one's coming for you, partner. Or if they do, they'll get there late. Now, hats off to the Coral Gables Police Department, because when they showed up, they went blowing in there. Just a reminder, as has always been, as is now, as will always be, you are utterly on your own. And anybody who tells you you cannot protect yourself or your family, to hell with them. The government basically says, we're going to prohibit you from protecting yourself, your family, and others. Oh, yeah, and we're not going to protect you either, so just shut up and die like a good citizen. To hell with that. Everybody I know now, honestly, everybody I know now who carries, serious people who train and carry, they just ignore the no gun signs. They do. If there are no metal detectors, they just go. So that's just silly. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to subject myself to that. I'm not going to let my family be subjected to that kind of threat. You got to make the call. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you got to make the call. Teachers and guns, good idea, bad idea? Well, you know, what interesting to me is people keep saying, well, what if? And I answer, I say, well, what is? You don't have to wonder what if, what would happen. It's already happening. It's happening all over the country. Joining us now is a good friend of ours, Clark Aposhian, who has trained a lot of teachers who carry in schools. Hey, Clark.
Hey, Tom Gresham, the ultimate guru of all things guns. Thanks for having me on. I'm actually in Arizona today. We're teaching school teachers.
You're teaching. I got you out of class while you're teaching school teachers. Now, Utah has had armed teachers for a while, as have a number of other states, correct?
Oh, yeah. We've easily had it for 25 years.
Well, wait. If you had it for 25 years, there should be just all these reports of problems and kids stealing guns and teachers shooting the wrong people and on and on. Where all that? I'm confused.
Yeah. That's very interesting. You're right. We have had zero pattern of problems whatsoever with guns left behind, with kids grabbing guns from the teachers or staff or faculty. And another thing we haven't had any of is school shootings either.
Oh, could it be because the students know that some teachers and administrators and workers there may be armed?
That's a good point. I mean, it may in fact be that. So, but at best, it's neutral. At best, we could say that it does no harm,
right,
but it certainly doesn't do any bad things. It hasn't resulted in anything. So, if at best we could stipulate it does no harm, so what's the problem? But there's certainly the narrative is that we might in fact be protected because there are students or their staff and faculty, not students, the staff and faculty that are carrying guns in schools, and my fiance happens to be one of them.
I was just going to say, I just saw her on Fox News being interviewed. She did a great job. I'm working with the assumption that you probably have trained her.
That would be a correct assumption. I have done some training with her. Yes.
Okay, so she's a teacher and she carries in Utah, for instance, because it's different state to state. What are the requirements? Can any teacher, administrator carry?
Actually, any concealed carry permit holder that has a Utah permit can carry in Utah schools. So it could be a volunteer, it could be a parent.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. And that goes to the fact that people say, well, what kind of training are you providing them? Well, actually, there's no training required there other than what you get for the concealed carry permit, correct?
That is correct. And in addition, the principal, the superintendent, the school district, they do not have access to the records. Those records are not public information. Even if they were to call up the Bureau here in Utah and ask, they would be flatly denied to find out who is carrying in their schools.
So the principal doesn't know who's carrying. It could be a teacher, administrator, a worker, a parent, a volunteer, and we still have no terrible effects from this. It is amazing.
We still have no problems. We still have absolutely no problems. And and let me say this, because the narrative is that we're arming teachers, that we're going out, we're arming teachers, and somehow I think that my fiance missed out on that one because she had to buy her own gun, get her own training, her own holster, and all that. Mm-hmm. We're not arming teachers, and I'm tired of when CNN puts that out. We arm the police, we arm the military, we arm security guards because of their expectations. Right. But in Utah and 7 other states, we just don't disarm teachers. We're not arming them, but we just don't disarm them.
Well put, because. And that's one of the things I keep hearing, and they'll interview, of course, the PTA or the teachers union of, we don't want to force, a lot of teachers don't want to do this. We're not going to force this. Well, Clark, I have never, ever heard anybody say we're going to force teachers to have guns. Have you?
Now, let me tell you, Tom, the NEA and the American Federation of Teachers, I was in a debate with one just the other day, and they were across from me, and they started saying, well, the teachers are not signed up to do this, and we do this. And I looked right at them and I said, when the teachers lobby stops paying lip service to the safety, the security of students, staff, and faculty, and they actually provide some actual security for these folks, and until they do that, stay the heck out of our way while we protect ourselves.
And the kids.
Yes. Exactly, yeah. And an ancillary benefit to kids. I mean, these are teachers that love their kids, that would actually take a bullet for their kids, Why are we forcing them to be a bullet sponge when I guarantee you, I don't care what the political affiliation or the feeling of gun rights or hate guns is, if any of those teachers had had access to a firearm in the moment that Looney Tune came into their classroom and started shooting, who would have turned away a firearm?
And, and you're a trainer. I'd kind of like to have people understand a few points here. People say, well, it's a chaotic situation, and you don't know what you're going to do, and there's going to be things going on. You go, yes, but you, if it's you and you're a teacher and you know the school, you have an advantage. You know the layout. You know what's going on. If you want to, for instance, if you say, I'm going to hunker in my classroom with my students, you have a doorway that this person must come through. You're set up and waiting for them. You don't have to go hunting if you choose not to. There are some huge tactical advantages to the people who are already on the grounds there, are there not?
Exactly. You couldn't have said it any better. In fact, I'll add to it in that teachers know, and we expect them to visualize in their classroom, in their hallways, in the cafeteria, expect them to visualize things that will stop a bullet, things that they can use for cover, things that you can use for concealment. Oh. And they can visualize different things in that classroom way ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And hoping that they never have to utilize that. But you're right. It doesn't. And people say, well, they should be tactically trained just like the police are. Let me tell you how much we're not expecting them to roam the hallways looking for the active shooter. Quite the opposite. We expect them to do what their principal or school district has suggested. Go in the classroom, lock the door, close the blinds, turn off the lights, and go in an opposite corner. Mm-hmm. But we pick up where they leave off, because that's where they leave off. As you're hunkering in the corner, bad guy gets through the door. They don't have a solution for that. That's right. Where we pick up. And it doesn't take, I encourage a lot of training, but it doesn't take a ton of training to raise your arm with a firearm in it, pointed towards the bad guy at conversational distances, and engage them. Mm-hmm.
It really is. What's been the reaction to the teachers that you have taught? What do they come away with? Does it change them?
It does. Especially when we talk about the visualization, we talk about the realization. They start to get that epiphany. They start to say, at first, I was afraid. Now, I'm still afraid, but I am much more confident in my ability to protect myself and my kids. It's not this big mystery. It's not it's not an unthinkable, undoable, unattainable type goal. They actually go in there and they have that, I want to say, comfort. That they know that confidence, there's a better word, that they know that they have a fighting chance when it comes to that. And actually I've heard from a lot of parents that have nothing to do with the teachers that they're saying, I affirmatively want my kid in their class.
All right. Clark Aposhian, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thanks for sharing the message with us. Keep at it. Go back to that class. You're in Arizona teaching teachers right now.
No, thank you. Thank you, Tom Gresham, for what you do. You are the awesome guru. Thank you so much for getting the word out on this.
Well, appreciate it. You take care. You can go get it. Teach those teachers. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. We have some callers on hold. We're going to get to you. Also, when we come back, I'm going to tell you six. It's gone from 5 to 6 episodes where a person with a handgun has taken on one or more people with rifles and has come out victorious. Be right back.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit SigSauer.com today.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or gundealio.com.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at timneytriggers.com.
With you. Don has been on hold for quite a while. We're going to get him in here, and then I'm going to tell you about all these instances of people using handguns to stop a bad guy with a rifle. Don in Lewiston, Idaho. How are you, sir?
Just fine today. Just fine. Yeah, a little bit of information. It's kind of old, from about 2004 or 5. Mm-hmm. In the country of Israel, which compared to the United States is a war zone, they encourage their teachers to go armed. Mm-hmm. And at that time, the only recorded incidents of attacks on school children were at a function where the teachers were asked to go unarmed.
Absolutely. And exactly right. Once the teachers, and they have security in schools there as well, once they're armed, the attacks went away. There actually was a guy who wanted to shoot up, I believe it was in California. He was looking for a school to shoot up, and he went to a Jewish daycare school, and then he went somewhere else. They said, well, why didn't you go there? They said, well, they had armed guards at the Jewish school in Los Angeles. Oh, yeah. How about that? Yeah. Yep. That's it. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that. Thank you for your patience, sir. I want to talk to Steve on line 1 out of Texas. Steve, you're on Gun Talk. Annual meeting. It's in Dallas this year, the NRA annual meetings.
Yes, and I'm considering going. I wanted to find out, now, can we pack there?
I have not checked this year, but in years past, yes. Concealed carry was legal, and it was not prohibited. Last year, the media made a big deal about, the NRA blocks concealed carry at their own events. Well, no. There was one venue where one event was held, a concert, that the venue had no gun signs, but I saw a lot of people open carrying, and of course I didn't see people concealed carrying, but I knew they were there at the NRA annual meetings. I don't know about the physical location. I don't even remember where it is in Dallas that the event's being held, but that will be available. If you check online, I'm sure you can find out. Let me ask you this. I'm hearing that the mayor and maybe the city council in Dallas are saying the NRA should take their meetings somewhere else. We don't want them here.
Well, the NRA, he was, I heard him being interviewed, the mayor. Mm-hmm. He agreed with one of the local conservative talk show hosts to meet him and talk to him about it at one of the local gun ranges where he is going to actually shoot a gun, talk to NRA people. He's actually willing to have a conversation, at least.
Well, you know what? So that's great. At least he's open. Yeah, exactly. Kudos. If you're willing to have the conversation, if you're willing to go out to a shooting range, try some of these guns, find out what they're about and what they're not about, because you know what he's going to find? And it's always an interesting thing. He's going to find out he's been lied to. And, people hate it when they've been lied to. He's going to find out, you mean this rifle works like every other rifle? I thought it was a weapon of war. No, it works just like your duck hunting shotgun and just like guns from 50 years ago. It just, it's a semi-automatic or a self-loader or an auto-loader if you prefer. And I've seen it happen. People go, it's like it's almost like they look like that little dog in front of the, RCA Victrola thing. He's got his head cocked over to the side. It's kind of like they're going, what? And then they got to go over here to the other side and go, what? And then the light starts coming on dimly and gets brighter and brighter. And they go, son of a gun. I have been lied to about this whole thing. And worse than that, I have been made to look like a fool because I've repeated this nonsense. But when you put that gun in their hands and they shoot it, they go, wow. Nothing somebody tells them can trump what they have experienced on their own. That's why we keep saying, take them out shooting. Thank you for the call, sir. All right, I mentioned to you that people always say, well, yeah, what can a teacher with a Glock do against a guy with an AR-15? Oh, well, you can shoot him. Simple as that. Just shoot him and stop him. Let me give you a few examples. Gene Hassan, New Life Church, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Guy kills some people, goes over to the church, one of those big churches. His plan is to kill hundreds of people, to murder hundreds of people in the church. He didn't count on Jean, though, because she's there and she's got a pistol. And when the shooting starts, she goes out in the hallway and she just shoots that little SOB. Done. Over. He's got all this ammo. He's got this rifle. I'm sorry. He just got shot. It's over. How about when Steve Scalise and Republicans were attacked by a man with a rifle in D.C.? Oh, yeah, where were the calls for gun controls? Oh, yeah, that was just Republicans. You can kill all those you want to, right? The man set out to murder Republican congressmen. He's got, I think he had an AK of some sort, if I remember right. But 2 Capitol police officers with handguns shot him and stopped him. Joel Myrick, assistant principal, Pearl, Mississippi, got his pistol, stopped a school shooting there. Garland, Texas. 2 members of ISIS come in, 2 men, they're wearing body armor, they have 3 rifles, they have 3 handguns, they have 1,000 rounds of ammo. They were both of them shot and killed by Officer Gregory Stevens of the Garland Police Department. Now, one report says that he shot him and stopped him, and the SWAT team came in and shot and killed him. Either way, works for me. And then there's Carl Van Wyck. He's in a church in South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa, in 93. Terrorists burst in. They've got shrapnel-coated grenades and automatic weapons. Carl has a .38 special snub-nose revolver, fires 2 shots, and all of these bad guys, after killing 11 people, they turn around and take off and leave. 2 shots from a .38. You can take on these guys if you're willing, and they are not willing to get into a gunfight. Yeah, it works. You just have to have the skills, and more than anything else, you have to have the will. Tom Gresham here. Be right back.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
As I always say, you cannot talk about guns in the U.S. without talking about politics. And I've been fired up the Twitter thing. and been sending out a lot of tweets this week. It's been an interesting experience. The anti-gunners found my Twitter feed and started loading it up, and I sent out a notice. I said, look, here's just a warning. All of you who are new here, you drop the F-bomb, you're gone. If you gloat about somebody getting killed or shot, you're gone. So I had to bounce a few of them out. But one of the things I put out there is I said, simple tweet, warning to the GOP. 1994, passing the Clinton gun ban ended the Democrats' 40-year control of Congress. Joining me to talk about what's going on and what it could mean for the Republican Party, Jeff Knox from the Firearms Coalition. Jeff, you put out something of a similar nature, but much more involved and much more detailed this week.
Well, yeah, Tom. I think that the Republicans are on risky, thin ice and are at risk of losing Congress in November if they don't stand firm and oppose all of this nonsense that is being hyped up so heavily in the media right now.
Now, you've been watching this for, well, frankly, all your life. You've been involved in this. one of the things I think happens, I'd love to get your take on it, is the elected politicians pay way too much attention to the media as opposed to the people. They begin to believe that that stuff is actually real. They think that that is which way the wind is blowing. And right now, what I'm hearing is a willingness to sell us out in hopes that it helps them in the midterm elections. Am I reading these tea leaves right?
That's what it looks like to me, Tom, and it's a huge mistake. The Republicans thought, if you looked at it 3 months ago, it was pretty clear that the Republicans were going to get hit pretty hard in the 2018 elections because of the fired up nature of the Democrats and the anti-Trump sentiment. But then they passed the tax bill, and the tax bill was their potential redemption. They haven't played it as well as they should have, but it's raising their boat and making it possible for them to thrive in the 2018 elections. But they will not thrive in the 2018 elections if they anger gun voters, because without gun voters, there's a lot of them that simply can't win. And anything that they do that compromises anything on the Second Amendment is going to anger gun voters. It doesn't matter if the NRA gives them a wink and a nod. It doesn't matter if they spout something about supporting the Second Amendment as they say, but we're gonna restrict this or lower the age for that or whatever. That is going to result in gun voters walking away.
Well,
and
that's
if
what I was going to
walk away, they lose.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because some of them will say, well, where are the gun voters going to go? Because all they have is us. They have nowhere else to go.
They're going to go hunting. They're going to go to a movie.
That's exactly right. They will stay away.
Except the polls.
Yep, they will stay away in droves. One of the things I've been seeing the last two days, it's interesting, it just started the last 2 days, with the hammering of the left and the media, but I repeat myself, and on the NRA and of Dana Lash, especially that town hall meeting, it was just abysmal, but it did expose them for who they are and what they're doing. I am seeing on Facebook and on Twitter lots and lots and lots of people saying, I am buying gift NRA memberships for my friends and for my family members. Is it possible that there is like this reverse swing that comes off of this?
There is to some extent, and if the Republicans stand firm, they'll be rewarded for that. But the reality is, with all of the hype and the pressure from the media, there are a lot of people who consider themselves conservative Republicans who are falling for this, well, we've got to do something, and you guys have got to do something. And they're telling their Republican legislators that you guys have got to do something. This is killing us, and it's hurting, and you've got to do something to protect our children. And they're listening. So it's not the media and the liberals that they're listening to. It's their conservative base that they're listening to that is listening to the media and the liberals and reacting from emotion. And so these guys are following along with that, because face it, when a big donor, a regular hardline conservative worker in the Republican Party calls up one of these congressmen and says, gosh, you've got to do something. This is just really that's a person that doesn't understand the issues at the heart of the issue, and that congressman needs to be listening to you and me instead of listening to this guy that doesn't understand that issue.
Yeah, let me throw this out, because I know you know this, but just for those who may not get it, because we keep talking about, well, that doesn't work. And they say, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, look, we have tried every form of gun control possible in the U.S. We've tried waiting periods. We've tried registration. We've tried licensing. We've tried background checks. We have tried gun bans. We have tried confiscation of guns. And for those who are wondering, okay, none other than the Centers for Disease Control, under the orders of President Obama, studied gun control laws about 3 years ago, and they hid their results, but we got hold of them. And what they found is they said, we could find no evidence of any gun control law that had ever reduced crime. Period, parade, rest, all gun control is an utter and abject failure. And so my position on this, and get your take on this, Jeff, when they say we must do something, I say, okay, because what they're actually saying is the old line of, well, why won't you guys compromise with us on this? Can't you just compromise a little bit? I say, okay, you've been able to pass 20,000 or so gun control laws. We know for a fact that none of them reduce crime. Rather than repeal all of them, my compromise position is we'll repeal only half of them. How's that work for you?
Right, absolutely. And, Dad put out a bumper sticker when he was working at Wolf Publishing 40 years ago that said simply, where has a gun law reduced crime?
I remember
because
that.
He knew the answer then. It had never reduced crime anywhere, and they never have because they don't work. And so the answer right now is, and what the Republicans should be saying is, look, we've tried it your way, and it doesn't work. Why are we arguing about things that we know don't work? Let's address things that do or might work. And that's where we need to go. And for the really hardcore, the real true anti-gun hate Trump people, here's the way to couch it to them. Okay, Donald Trump is a Cheetos-colored Hitler, so what you want is to take all guns away from everyone who doesn't work for Hitler.
So you want him?
Are these people thinking this through?
Yeah. So what we'll say to him is, so you want the government to have the monopoly on armed power? That's what you're saying.
And the government is
Donald Trump right now.
Donald Trump.
Right.
Yeah. So they need to take a step back, and we need to take the fight to them. And right now, the important thing is that every gun owner, every gun voter be contacting their congressperson and saying, stand firm, no compromise, no yielding, no bump stocks, no age restrictions, no expanded background checks. You guys need to stand firm or you're going to lose us, and that means that you're going to lose in 2018. And then, because gun owners have proven that we're willing to cut our nose off to spite our face.
Yeah,
We've demonstrated it over and over again. And it doesn't matter how hard you or I or NRA tries to convince gun voters that they need to get to the polls and support Republicans. They're not going to do it if they think Republicans have betrayed them.
Nope. I've had a lot of emails already. People say, I'm done. If the NRA supports any kind of deal like I'm done with them. And if Trump supports any kind of these gun control laws, I'm done with him. I will walk away. So there it is. Jeff Knox from the Firearms Coalition. Thank you so much. Always an interesting conversation.
Always a pleasure, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
All right. You take care. Yeah. Compromise does not work when the person you're compromising with wants your death. Nothing really satisfies them until they get there. It's not that the guns that they hate, it's not the guns they want to get rid of. What they want to get rid of is you and your way of life. Keep that firmly in mind, and you'll understand why you need to always be resisting. 866-TALK-GUN.
Tactical equipment for military, law enforcement, and shooting enthusiasts. Look for the name Elite Survival Systems, creators of high-quality, intelligently designed products for concealed carry, discreet transport, and rigorous tactical uses. Elite Survival Systems knows there isn't just one method of carry that works for everyone. Elite offers a vast array of concealment products to fit your lifestyle, including holsters, belts, vests, pouches, slings, bags, backpacks, and cases. Find out more at EliteSurvival.com.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org. back with you, 866-TALK-GUN. Don't forget, if you have Gun Dealio on your phone, make sure that you have the update. If you're getting the notifications, you're good to go. If you have Gun Dealio on your smartphone and you have not gotten any notifications recently, then you need to update it because it's not working. We have a new version out, and it's much better and it works really cool. If you don't have it at all, shame on you. What are you doing? Why are you spending too much money on guns and ammo? Gun Dealio works on all smartphones. Go grab it. Put it on your phone. It's our deal. It works. It's very cool. 866-TALK-GUN. Get you in here. Let's see here. Let's see. Line 3. Bruce is with us out of Reno, Nevada. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Tom. I want to thank your instructor for saying that not all teachers are hunters, but they are all protectors. Mm-hmm. A gun in the hand of a teacher is better than their body in front of a bullet.
Amen. Amen, brother. And that's what the administrators are saying. We would rather have our teachers die to place their bodies in front of bullets than to actually go to the effort of giving them the tools or even just allowing them to have the tools. Because in most cases, the schools don't provide the guns. The schools actually just allow it. They get out of the way. The teachers buy the guns. The teachers pay for the training in many cases. In the case of Ohio, they have contributions and donations that are paying for all this teacher training out there. But no, that's exactly right. I mean, it is not just ineffective to disarm personnel who could protect the children. It's not just ineffective. It's immoral to tell them you must die so that we can hold on to our political agenda, our political viewpoint, because we just can't stand the idea. Forget the track record. Forget that it works. Forget that there are no problems with it. They can't stand the idea of good people protecting themselves. Now, defensive gun uses, thank you for the call, sir. Defensive gun uses, of course, is what we call them, DGUs. People using guns for self-defense. Gary Kleck, criminologist out of Florida State, was the one who really first documented a lot of this. He came up with a number of roughly 2.5 million times a year Americans use guns to protect themselves. Okay? All right. A lot of the anti-gun people went nuts. They fired up there. And Gary Kleck is a liberal Democrat. Okay? But they fired up their own research and said, we must disprove this. This can't possibly be true. This is nonsense. So they got two guys named Cook and Ludwig, noted anti-gun researchers. They said, we're going to replicate his study. We're going to do it just the way he did it. We'll show you how flawed it was and how it doesn't work and how that's just an idiotic number. Cannot possibly be 2.5 million defensive gun uses a year. So Cook and Ludwig, you'll have trouble finding this study because they buried it, although I just put a tweet out on it. You can find it there. They did their study. And they were right. They were not able to find 2.5 million defensive gun uses. Their study came up with 3.1 million. I'm sorry, I can't do that without laughing. 3.1 million. And then in their study, they spend like the next 2 or 3 pages explaining why their own study was so badly flawed that nobody should believe it. It is outrageous. It is just so funny. And yes, it got buried. Defensive gun uses. Every year, every week, every day, every hour, people in the United States use guns to stop crime and protect themselves and other people. Let's see here. We got Bob is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, on line 2. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Tom. I was calling to give you a range report. I picked up a Ruger GP100 in .327 Magnum and absolutely love it.
Yeah?
And actually ended up back at the gun store the next day and bought the GP100 in .357 Magnum that was sitting next to it. Both of them are great.
Now, I understand you're also supporting by buying some NRA memberships.
We are. So me and my friends got together, and we decided not only are we encouraging our friends and family to get NRA memberships, instead of just sending a check into the NRA, every one of us is getting 2 memberships for some other people.
See, that's actually a better way to go. That's smart, Bob, because by doing that, you increase the numbers, and when NRA goes and talks to Congress, they have their numbers are increased. Rather than just sending them a check, that's brilliant. That's so much better. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for thinking it through and for doing that and bringing more people into the fold. You know, we can all do that. I think associate membership is like $10, something like that. You can give that away. Give away a dozen of them. Why not? Let's double the NRA membership. That will be effective. All right, back with you. When I was listing the folks who had stopped attackers who had rifles by using handgun, somebody pointed out, hey, don't forget FBI Special Agent Morales. He used a .357 revolver, finishing off Platt Maddox, who had a Ruger Mini 14. That was in the famous 1986 FBI Miami shootout. A lot of mistakes made there, but a lot of things that were learned. But one of the things that was learned was to keep fighting, don't give up, even if you're shot up. Even if the guys have superior firepower, a guy with a revolver stopped these two bad guys once again. By the way, just got this notification. If you are or know of a school superintendent, assistant superintendent, let's see, Gunsight is offering a free 5-day class, their famous 250 pistol class. It'll be available to school superintendents, assistant superintendents, and school board presidents. This is not for teachers. These are for the policy makers. And they're offering it for free. You go to the Gunsight Academy in northern Arizona. It's like, I think it's the oldest gunfighting school in the country. Probably the most respected. Excellent training for school superintendents, assistant superintendents, and school board presidents. Contact Ken Campbell. He is the chief operating officer there, retired Sheriff Ken Campbell at Gunsight, Gunsite. His email, ken@gunsight.com. If you are one or you know of somebody who might be interested in that, by all means, pass that along if you would, please. Okay, let's see here. I think I want to go to Kurt on one out of Milton, Florida. Hey, Kurt, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, Tom. Hey, real quick, I want to say this. I don't think these politicians obviously have any interest in protecting children. They just want to get rid of the Second Amendment. That's their main goal, obviously. But to that point, when watching these talking heads on the Sunday shows or anytime during the week, after these kind of incidents happen, they get up and they say the most unusual and preposterous things about long guns, pistols, whatever. And for an example, I would ask you to go to look at a fellow by the name. He's a Harvard law professor. He's a constitutional law professor.
Hey, Kurt, we're going to run out of time, so you got to get to it, man.
Okay, Lawrence Tribe.
Oh, sure, Larry Tribe.
Lawrence, in Laurence.
I know who you're talking about. He is one of the most respected constitutional attorneys and scholars of all time. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, look, just check out his research on the AR-15 and the things he said yesterday. The R in NRA stands for rifle. The AR-15 is a semi-automatic rifle. Its bullets fly at over 2,000 miles per hour. It easily fires 10 rounds per second and on and on. I mean, this guy's nuts. So,
yeah, he doesn't know anything about guns. He doesn't like guns. But I will say this. He finally came out some years ago and said, with the current research being done on the Second Amendment, I don't like it, but I have to admit that it is, in fact, an individual right, and it must be respected. I thought that was very interesting because he has been anti-gun always. But he literally, here's the thing you don't know about Lawrence Tribe. If you go to law school, one of the books you study was written by Lawrence Tribe. He is instrumental in shaping the minds of attorneys when they're coming out of law school. I don't know of a law school in the country that doesn't study Lawrence Tribe's work. So, but to your point, he is a very educated moron. It just goes to show when you get out of your area, you need to either do the research or shut up. At least choose your sources very carefully. In this case, it's kind of embarrassing to see somebody who's really that smart. Clearly, he's not a moron. He's really that smart. He's making these dumb statements because he's been fed all this stuff and he believes it and he's never checked it out. You don't go to every town for gun safety to find out about gun safety. I don't care what their name is. They don't know anything about guns. They don't really know anything about safety. They don't know about gun bans and taking money from Bloomberg and Soros, though. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. Be right back with more Gun Talk.